Today, we are cracking open a real-time capsule, a 1935 issue of Gems and Gemology, which was a trade journal for American jewelers back then. Now, you gotta remember, this was a world deep in the Great Depression, but it was also a time buzzing with new scientific discoveries. This one little magazine shows us this wild intersection of finance, rarity, cutting-edge science, and, well, old-school superstition. Let's dive in.
Right out of the gate, the mood is just crystal clear. This was an era of total economic chaos, where fortunes built on stocks and bonds could just, poof, vanish overnight. So gemstones? They were seen as something completely different. They were real, they had history, and most importantly, they were stable. And this wasn't just some clever sales pitch, this was a genuine belief during a massive crisis.
So yeah, the first thing these jewelers were thinking about was the very practical, financial muscle of the stones in their inventory. Gems weren't just pretty things to wear. They were a serious asset, a safe place to park your money when the world's economy was in a freefall.
And the journal really lays out a strong case for this. For instance, it points out that emerald prices hadn't changed in almost 25 years. I mean, think about that. What else had that kind of stability? And then there's the sheer practicality. You could hold an entire fortune in the palm of your hand, which was a huge deal if you suddenly needed to get up and go. A fine ruby has value anywhere in the world, unlike a national currency that a government could devalue on a whim. They'd even bring up how Napoleon used gems as collateral to fund his wars. The message was loud and clear. Sure, gems don't pay you interest, but in 1935, just keeping your initial investment safe was the name of the game.
But hey, it wasn't all about financial doom and gloom. The journal also takes us into this world of incredible luxury and pure rarity, celebrating the most sought-after gems of them all, diamonds with intense, vivid colors known in the business as fancies.
I just love this quote. It's so poetic, right? It perfectly sums up how people felt about these stones. If all gems are like flowers, then fancies are the rarest, most exotic, most stunning of all. They were seen as nature's absolute masterpieces because they had the insane brilliance of a diamond combined with these deep, incredible colors.
And you know when they said rare, they were not kidding. According to the journal, a full half of all diamonds that came out of the ground were just industrial-grade stuff called bort. Of the half that was left, only a portion of that was excellent, colorless gem material. And the fancies? The author figured they were just 1/100th of 1% of the total haul. That is a ridiculously small number. We're talking one fancy diamond for every 10,000 other diamonds mined.
So, okay, given how unbelievably rare they were, the journal posed a question to its readers. We all know a classic white diamond is valuable, but in this world of fancies, which color fetched the absolute highest price?
And the answer is pretty wild. Looking at values from about 10 years earlier, the journal shows that a top-quality red diamond was worth a jaw-dropping $8,500 a carat. To put that in perspective, that's more than double the price of a flawless white diamond at the time. Even green and blue fancies were worth about twice as much as their colorless cousins. Now, whenever you have stones that are that valuable, you know what's coming next, right? Imitations, forgeries. It was a huge problem. And this is where the story pivots to science, because the journal is also introducing a brand new gadget designed to give jewelers an edge. So, meet the Shipley Hand Polariscope. I know it sounds technical, but for 1935, this thing was seriously high-tech. It was a simple, handheld device that promised a quick, and more importantly, accurate way to tell if you were looking at a real gemstone or just a worthless piece of glass.
And using it was just beautiful in its simplicity. You just stick the stone on a little dab of beeswax inside, look through the eyepiece towards the light, and give it a slow turn. The real magic was in what you saw happen as that stone rotated.
Okay, so here's the cool scientific trick behind it. If the stone just stayed dark the whole time you turned it, that meant it was isotopic. Basically, light passes through it the same way no matter the direction. Glass does that. So does a diamond, actually. But if the stone blinked from light to dark as it turned, it was anisotropic. That happens because the gem's internal crystal structure is more complex, and it actually splits light into two rays. Most genuine colored stones like rubies and sapphires do this, but glass fakes just can't. So this simple visual test could unmask an imitation in seconds. Science was bringing a whole new level of trust to the jewelry counter.
But what's so fascinating is that even as this new, scientific way of thinking was taking root, the old world, the ancient mystical beliefs about gems, was still totally alive and well. It's such a great contrast.
Get this. Tucked away in the back of the magazine, there's a whole article on precious stones as medicines. And it actually quotes Aristotle saying that wearing an emerald could prevent epilepsy, which they used to call the falling sickness. It just goes to show how deep these beliefs ran for centuries.
And the list of supposed cures is just wow. Powdered diamond was, kind of ironically, thought to be an antidote for poison. Rubies were supposed to help with biliousness, whatever that is. Carnelian could supposedly stop a nosebleed and even calm you down if you were angry. The article even tells this grim story about Pope Clement VII, who, back in 1532, was treated for an illness with 14 doses of powdered gems, and then he died. So, yeah.
So, you put it all together, and this one journal gives you this incredible snapshot. To be a gemologist in 1935 meant you were dealing with a stone that was, all at the same time, a hard financial asset, an object of breathtaking beauty, a scientific specimen to be analyzed, and a magical artifact steeped in centuries of folklore.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought, doesn't it? Nearly 100 years later, have things really changed all that much? We still value gems as a stable investment. We still obsess over their rarity and beauty. We analyze them with way more powerful scientific tools, for sure, but many people still believe they have healing or spiritual powers. So in a lot of ways, that complex mix of hard logic and deep desire, of science and belief, it's just as alive today as it was back in 1935.